Hello, and today we'll be talking about the very important topic of politics, and in particular, the politics around World War One, or as it was known at the time, the Great War. Like many wars, there was a lot happening at the time, and a lot of information to remember. To make it easier for you to follow along, I will ask for you to pull out a piece of paper and separate it evenly into 3 sections. It doesn't matter whether it's horizontal or vertical, as long as you can nicely write it in each section. Give each section a title. First one being what I know, the second one being what I would like to know, and the third one being what I learned. You should fill these sections out as we go along. For now, I would like you to write in point form what you know about the political reasons countries had for joining World War One. Then in a point form, like a few things you would like to know about the same topic. You might want to pause the video at this point so that you can write. Great. Now we'll move along and see if we can answer anything you want to know. It is widely an accepted fact that what sparked World War One was the assassination of this man here, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, in Sarajevo on June 28th, 1914. Now, you might be wondering at this point, how did the assassination of a 50-year-old man, regardless of his status, spark the Great War to end all wars? Was he important? Was he well liked by his allies? Well, short answer is no, he was not that important, at least on a global scale, and he wasn't any more liked than any other royal at the time. What he was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. In that area of the world, things were tense politically between France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Serbia, Russia, and even Romania and Bulgaria. Really, most of Europe was not on good terms with each other, even having their own reason for being upset with each other. Austria-Hungary was not on good terms with Serbia, and when the Archduke was assassinated, Austria-Hungary pointed their fingers at Serbia. Austria gave Serbia an ultimatum, and it was Serbia's response that sparked a war between the two countries. If a country did not have allies, this is where political allies comes into play during World War One. Now, normally, if countries didn't have allies or certain political agreements, they would have to fight their own wars by themselves. But having allies and political agreements sometimes allowed them to get help from other countries. This is important for World War One because without allies and political agreements, this war would never have escalated to the global scale. This is where things start to get a little hard to follow, especially because this war between Austria-Hungary and Serbia evolved into a war largely along the French-German border and the German-Russian border and with Belgium, which are all countries north of where this all started. Explaining who was friends with who will help visualize and understand how everything escalated. Let's start with Serbia. At the time, they were allies with Russia, and who in turn were allies with France. Austria-Hungary at the time was friends with Germany. And though, as you can see, we are still missing several countries, and it might be a little bit of a stretch for a war involving only 5 countries to eventually be considered a world war, this is where Germany came into play, as they had a plan to fight a 2-front war between France and Russia. This was planned by a man called Count Alfred von Schlieffen in 1906 and implemented by his successor, Helmuth von Moltke the Younger, who by some historians claim ruined the plan by meddling with it. Though it should be pointed out that the Schlieffen plan was also considered outdated and needed updating. The plan was simple: send a majority of German troops to France, defeat France before Russia had a chance to fully mobilize against Germany. The only problem was that France had a strong defense along their shared border with Germany. So the plan was to go around France's defenses by going through Belgium and flank the French, pushing them back through their own country. This is where Britain got involved, as before this point, despite being friendly with France, they had not got involved. But because of a treaty Britain had with Belgium, the Treaty of London, they were now obligated to get involved. Belgium only requested help from Britain because after Germany requested passage through their country, and were denied, they attacked Belgium. Okay, now with Britain and its colonies getting involved and Germany and its allies being isolated, things were getting stressful, and several other countries around the world had gotten involved. Though one major country had still yet to get involved and wouldn't until the Germans sunk one of their merchant ships with civilians on board, though it should be noted that at this time they were transporting supplies to the front ship. So it wasn't necessarily uncalled for, just it had civilians, so it pissed it. It was this sinking of this merchant ship that got the U.S. involved and had them declare war on Germany in 17 and at this point taking part in the war. Here's a list of countries involved in World War I initially, and here is a list of all the countries involved after April 6, 1917, a little over a year before the end of the war, and a little over 4 years, what started as an assassination of one man cascaded into a world war. The complex engagement of a nation's regional affairs led to other nations' involvement in international affairs. Now, if you could take out your piece of paper and in point form write out what you learned during this video in the appropriate section, I'll give you a second to do that. Now compare it to what you already knew about World War I. Then see if any of what you wanted to know was answered. I hope that you were able to learn something new and answer any of your questions on this topic.